because they don't know who I am. They're angry. They lost their loved one. So we're putting food, water, bringing whatever we can to help the IDPs. At the same time, being very careful that we are not attacked, or I was not attacked. I was the only one going for the first year to Iraq because it's too dangerous. So we managed to provide food, shelter, other support, and even set up a bakery on the border with Iraq and Syria in the refugee camp, making hot bread. So even in that challenging time, we didn't step back. And then soon, now the Yazidi community, 6-7 years later, they really love the work of Khalsa Aid. They say to us that you stood with us, and they feature us in their music, in their folk music, in the videos, saying, look, these guys came from far away to help. So it wasn't just about delivering aid. It was also saying, look, we stand by you in your hour of need. And right now, as we speak, we're putting water pumps in many countries in Africa, even the smallest country called Gambia, which is a tiny country, very poor. We recently just completed a big water pump borehole. We're digging boreholes still at the moment in Kenya, Zambia, Malawi, the Gambia, and also other food projects. During COVID-19 outbreak in Africa, we provided food for the day laborers in Kenya. And there's a Sikh gentleman in Peru. He runs a program for the street children and the workers. We provided aid to him. We provided aid to international students from India, and then many other students also asked for help, like from Pakistan or even African countries in Moscow, in St. Petersburg, in Ukraine, and in Cyprus, and in Australia. These were funded from the UK, the international students from India who were struggling. And then our Canada team, they done a phenomenal job. I don't think there was one city that they didn't cover to help the international students with huge packs of food and other support. There was a time when a lot of students were made redundant. There was no job, everything shut down, and they were very, very upset where they're getting the next meal from. We spent, I think, in the COVID in the UK as well, and other countries are listed, about 300,000 maybe pounds alone on just COVID food support. And then in India, we provided PPE kits to hospitals, to prisons, to other frontline workers, health workers in India. We provided food packs of huge amounts. We provided food stations for the migrant workers that were traveling from wherever they're working back towards their homes in different states. Our team in India done a fantastic job by putting water, food, and all these stations at different places, different roads. And in Africa, we launched a new project 2 years ago called Pad the Path, which is reusable sanitary pads for young girls in schools. We work with the Indian company, buying the stuff and shipping it over, and trying to give trade much as we can to small businesses in India. There are so many new projects we launched, and in the UK, we got Langar Aid, which is feeding langar to the homeless and the vulnerable. So the projects are always changing. But what makes Khalsa Aid very different is we're very fluid. We move very fast. We work with organizations. We work with mandars, mosques, masjids. We work with community groups. An example, during the tsunami 2005, 4 and 5, we worked in the tsunami islands. We worked with the local Lions clubs, Rotary clubs, and local organizations, because they have the passion. It's like you guys. You have the passion. You want to do something. Some of these organizations, they lack funding. So we say to them, look, you got the passion. You might be running a committee in a mandar or a masjid or a gurdwara or a grassroots voluntary group. So what we say to them, let's work together. Let's use your passion, use our funding, but keep the prices low. So one thing that happens in disaster areas, international aid agencies come in and they don't negotiate. So I could come to you. I could come to Harkirat here. Say, look, you have a business for transport. I want to hire 5 cars. How much? You're going to see, oh, Ravi Singh's from the UK. Normally I charge 500 rupees. I'm going to charge him 1,000 rupees. You're going to put the price up. For me, I think, wow, that's a really good price. I'll take them. What I've done by agreeing to pay your price for the transport, I've destroyed the local transport, local business who can't use that transport anymore, because a local produce company may be using that transport to transport vegetables or food to the market. Now that has doubled because someone like me, without thinking about the local economy, has come in, just thrown the money around. Yeah, sure, there you are, take it, take it, take it. So what we do, we ask people like you, say, okay, we come to your area, we need your help. You have business contacts, we have the funding, you have the passion, let's work together. So you will go and negotiate on our behalf, which then keeps the prices low because you know each other. We don't say to you, give us free. No, we have the funding. We give the market price. We don't bring the trader to negotiate price lower. So we're trying to stop the increase in local market prices, from transport to food to hotels, because the big organizations, like I said, they come, they have a board, they sign. We always negotiate. Say, no, how much is it normally, right? Could you please go and negotiate? Could you go and negotiate? So we get locals to negotiate on our behalf so that we pay a fair price and it doesn't affect the local economy. So aid agencies are there to help, but they can also be very destructive to the local economy. So we have to also keep that in mind. And, the work has been phenomenal because the volunteers. In India alone, I think in Punjab, we got about 20,000 volunteers registered. In Canada, in Australia, in the UK, across Europe, got so many volunteers. More people want to join. We don't have enough capacity to bring more people on board at the moment because you can only do so much work. So our work reflects in who we are. Even our volunteers, our senior members of staff, we won't differentiate. If we're helping in India, or helping in on the borders with Iraq and Syria, or the borders of Myanmar, Burma, and Bangladesh, everyone who we're helping is equal. It doesn't matter what religion they are, what background they are. A refugee doesn't choose to be a refugee. A life of a refugee, especially for a family with young kids, it doesn't matter if they are Rohingya refugees, if they're Syrian refugees, if they're Sikh refugees, if they're Kashmiri Pandit refugees, if they are Sikh refugees. The refugees struggle. Their lives are very difficult. There's uncertainty. There's not really much security. They become targets of local and hostile organizations. So they face a lot of prejudice. And the one thing we can do is trying to understand that our job isn't our volunteers or my job to judge someone by their faith. We always judge by their situation, by their plight. And we feel the pain of everyone. Doesn't matter what religion someone is. It's a human being. The suffering is of a human being, a family, mom and dad, a mother and father figure who's got young kids, and they have no idea if they're going to get education, if their health's going to suffer, what happens if they get killed or something, what happens to the families, where will the next meal come from, will they have shelter, are their kids safe from all sorts of attacks. There's a lot that goes through a mind of a refugee. It's not simply somebody picks their bags and they want to be a refugee. So we are trying to understand the human suffering behind it. It's very difficult when many people maybe, or some people may be focused only on the religion of the refugee. That makes it very closed and like blinkers on. we see everyone as equal. There is no more or less suffering, no matter what faith you are. You're a refugee, you're struggling. So our program for refugees, even in the UK, the support, we're working with another organization trying to support them when they come in to settle them within the community. And our program right now, as we speak, we initiated today's Sunday, the work started today in Iraq for a medical clinic in a refugee camp. They lacked facilities. They needed facilities. So we're putting up 2 or 3 cabins in one of the refugee camps, especially for women who are refugees that struggle a lot during health issues, especially during labor or maternity, antenatal, and other serious health issues. So we're actually developing this clinic along with the local government in Iraq, helping them set the whole infrastructure up, which is a complete 2-3 units with plumbing, everything will be ready in about a few weeks' time. It's a prefabricated building. And I want to do more across India. So if any of you guys are connected with any hospitals or clinics or medical world, and you want to join us in partnership, which partnership means that we can fund it, and you guys take the lead and responsibility. So we won't take responsibility, we will fund it. We're looking at setting up well woman clinics. So if in your area, in rural India, anywhere, there is a lack of access to women's health clinics, I would be very happy to work with any of you guys trying to set something up. Even if you set it as a group, individual, or someone, we will fund the doctors, the nurses. So you will find a rural area, a village, a nice clean place. You want to build a little room or something, we can help with that. And then 2-3 times a week or a couple of times a week, nurses and doctors come and they do clinic like half a day for the villages around on antenatal and other general health issues. And I think if we can develop across India, especially rural India, these clinics, we can save a lot of lives. There are still women who die in labor, who die of the most basic needs, medical needs, and that shouldn't be happening. People like us, NGOs, people like yourself, we should be able to work together to form some sort of partnership to provide that care. We'll be happy to set aside funding for a few clinics, but we need reliable partners. In India, it's very difficult sometimes when you're working in areas where individuals look at you as a bank, like a cash cow. They think, oh, here he comes, let's take money. But we need genuine people. If you guys have any initiative on environment, on medical, on sanitation and water, we'll be very, very happy to have a look at a proposal and work with you guys so you will become like equal partner. We will fund it, but somebody has to manage and run it, somebody with compassion for the fellow human being. So, there's so much we can do. Khalsa Aid isn't black and white. We will work very fluid, like I said. We work with anyone. We don't care what your background is. As long as you want to serve humanity, we'll stand with you. There's so much more going on. And now with the farmers' protest, there are a lot of political differences in that. A lot of people agree with it. A lot of people disagree with it. The country split on it, which is quite sad because the farmers, they come from different backgrounds. You got Sikhs, Hindus, Muslims, Christians. It's not like one faith. And it's a general small holding farmer that is now protesting. So although it split the country, it still comes down to that as a humanitarians, we should be looking at the communities, farming communities. It's not just a farmer that if one farmer commits suicide in a village, it's a ripple effect for the whole community. When 2 or 3 do it, and then more and more follow, it devastates the whole community. It causes that ripple effect to create a very negative, very devastating environment in the village when small farmers are basically gone out of business. It just destroys communities. It's not just farmers. The whole villages will get destroyed. This is where we are standing. So we will support anyone, and we'll hopefully work together on many missions And if there's any of you guys who have ideas, proposals, we listen. So I'm happy to answer any questions as well.
So we don't have any question as such, but I'm really interested that how did it all begin that, okay, you are going international, and what was the first basic country that you step out after India?
Yeah, I mean, Albania was the first country. Albania
Okay.
in 1999. It was a very strange experience because we never done anything like it. So we drove from London, from near Heathrow Airport. We drove all the way to Albania. We drove from here across the sea to Europe, to France, and then we went to Italy. And from Italy, we caught a ship, put our trucks in there, went to Albania, and that was our journey because it's something very new for us. We've not done it. It was very, very difficult uh, because make sure you got everything right. Nobody got hurt. Albania is like a bandit country, they call it, mafia country, and we had brand new trucks. So it was very, very fortunate. We were received by the one place, one church, and the other place, a mosque, where we delivered that stuff. And it was similar in other countries like Congo as well, where we nearly got shot. Congo, we crossed the border from Rwanda into Congo. Unfortunately, we crossed at night. We got stuck on the way. We had problems with the car, and we were told never to cross African borders in the night. And we got stuck. This is 2003, and where we were then chased by these gangsters. We were taken to this hotel. We managed to escape, and it was like a miracle, absolute miracle, how we managed to escape from being shot. Especially at the time in 2003, the big volcano has erupted in Congo, and we were driving on the lava that had cooled down. That became like a road to escape in the middle of the night. But we managed to get a lot of done. It was there's been very very dangerous situations. There's been high risk situations. There's been wonderful situations across India where we traveled. People stopped us for cups of tea, food with them. Like I remember working in Orissa, through Kolkata, driving in Gujarat. We were invited to most people to eat with them. In Pakistan, earthquake, we were invited to a lot of homes. I was in Pakistan, I got really sick, and the locals, they just couldn't do enough, taking me to a doctor, make sure the food was fresh. So wherever we went around the world, there's always that humanity. It's been 22 years next month that we've been doing it. We survived because people generally are good. We normally see the negative side, the angry side, like working in the Middle East. I must have gone to Iraq 20, 25 times, whatever. And even in Iraq, we dine with different people. We get invited. They, oh, please eat with us. So if any of you ever come to Iraq with me, you see that when we walk on the roads on the border areas, people pull you saying, "Oh, we remember that guy with the turbans. Come and eat, come and eat." And that's what I say to people. We see the negative side. We can, negativity sells. Unfortunately, news agencies love negative news, but the world is generally a very positive place. If the world was such a negative place and bad people, I would have been killed years ago. We've been very fortunate. I believe in the population. I believe in the general public. Uh, just because there are bad apples doesn't mean it's the whole tree is bad, sort of thing. So I believe in human nature, that there are good people. There are good people out there. So Carlside, like I say, it started as something like a reaction to a conflict in Europe, and then we never looked back. But yes, our faith plays a big part. It's a Sikh-based organization, but it's come. I grew up in a village in Punjab, And I remember I was about 11 and a half when I came here. And whenever there was a problem in the village, we all worked together. I still remember as a kid when it didn't rain for many days and the crops were burning in the fields because there was no rain. It was so hot. And then we would all get together. Everyone's food will have to last until the next crop. And that taught us, to work together, live together. Our village has all different faiths in it. We celebrate all occasions. So that has helped me as an individual to see people as one. Yes, we can. We shouldn't be threatened by somebody else's faith. We should be embracing of humanity. Just because there are experiences around the world that we see in the negative side, it doesn't mean that we judge every individual saying you're bad because your religion, you're this. No, everyone has their own perception of humanity. Most is good. Most of the stuff, most people are good. And I find it very, very strange, especially in the Middle East. Like I said, the love and the respect and the welcome. Even at the airport now, when we land, they don't touch our turbans. Where we land in the Erbil in northern Iraq, they got to know us so well. They don't harass us. They never search the turbans. They put the scanner on. They tell the others don't touch. Put a scanner on, and they are so very, very respectful. So it really is a wonderful world if we can, get out there and make the difference. Guru Nanak Dev Ji, our guru, he traveled to Iraq 500-600 years before. So now we travel back with the message of Sarbat Tapala helping them. So for us, it's very meaningful, especially. And I'm very, very happy that, when we got invitation from you guys that you want to talk, it makes me happy, especially if people from India want to talk, because, India is traditionally known for spirituality. If you ask any Westerner, close your eyes, what do you think of India? They will say peace, spirituality, this beautiful perception. And why can't we create that? Why can't we see that ourselves? Why is it an outsider? It's always an outsider that can see the good stuff, but people living within, we like to pull each other down all the time. So I think we can do a lot together, and the next generation especially, they got great burden on their shoulders now, because as the world is changing with this social media age, like I said, we started, there was no social media for like 8 or 9 years. So when people say, oh, Ravi Singh, you're posting social media, there was no social media. When I went to Somalia in 2003, that was the time America went into Afghanistan. And when I landed in Somalia, I recently posted on my Instagram, I went in the back of a drugs plane from Nairobi. It's that chart, or they call it cart. The Somali guys chew it. The Kenyan sells it. It's a small plane, very small plane, and you just basically sit in that plane and you go to Somalia. There's no customs, no airport check. There's nothing. There's not a building. You land and you're surrounded by warlords. Everyone's got guns, and there's one person surrounded by 5-6 guns. And when they saw me, they thought, first of all, I said to the Somali guy, why they keep looking? He goes, oh, they think you're Taliban. You escaped from Afghanistan because the Americans came. I said, no, tell them I'm a Sikh. We come to help. So we had to go in a tiny airplane. And when I landed, I'm not joking, you look around, there was nothing. It's just dirt, absolute dirt. You have no security. Your security are the people. And Somalia is 100% Sunni Muslim country. And I came back alive. So I took the chance. I believed in humanity. I believed in that when I land there, I'll be seen. And the chief came to say hello, the local chief, and his wife, who's an older woman. Is a very, very, something very powerful. I never forget. She said something which really made me think. I say, wow, I can't believe this love. She says in front of everyone with the translator, he said, you have come very far away. You left your mother behind. This is an elderly woman. You come to help us. And then she went this sign, like this sign, like this, like that. She goes, I am your mother here, the maternal sign. She goes, here, I am your mother. And I felt, wow, I come thousands of miles away and to do whatever. And that little gesture has meant more to me than anything. That this old woman who doesn't know me, she's suddenly saying, I'm your mother here. So whatever you need, ask me. It's like, wow. And, these are little things, you forget about the security situation. You forget about the guns, the fighting, the war, because then you see just the human suffering. So always challenge people. If you hate a particular refugee for their religion, there might be a movement against the Rohingyas or Syrian refugees. Go to a refugee camp and see some of the children. That if you don't see those children as your own, the pain, then there's something wrong with you. We're very quick to judge. Our lives are very small. Our lives are very short. Where we live in anger, in bitterness, or do we want to create something? We can have our opinions on politics, but when it comes to humanity, we should bypass all that. So yeah, so it's been a very interesting journey.
Rightly said, Sat. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for sharing your thoughts. And now I'd like to invite our leader, Mr. Harkirat Singh Arora, General Secretary, NSS IIT, to summarize the National Social Summit 2021.
Juhi, can I request that I may be given an opportunity right now? I have to go to another function after this. Harkirat, can I take this opportunity?
Yes, sir. Sure.
I have another commitment at 6:15, so that's why I'm requesting.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. No worries.
The words of Mr. Ravi Singh were truly very deep and very inspiring. I think what Khalsa Aid is doing and what we just heard through Mr. Ravi Singh will echo in our minds for a long time to come. And some of the words that will probably remain with me are that inherently most people in the world, most human beings are actually good. I think that is probably the most important message that we all can take from the address in the valedictory function by Mr. Ravi Singh. And I can say from my personal experience also that I have a very, very similar feeling that most human beings, regardless of their race, gender, nationality, background, profile, age, whatever you look at, political thought, they are inherently good. And second thing is that we must, when it comes to humanity, when it comes to humanitarian things, I think nothing else matters other than the person is a human being. There is nothing more to look at, what kind of clothes he's wearing, whether he's wearing a turban or not, what language he is speaking, or whether he can speak or not, whether he is literate or not literate, whether he's poor or rich, whether he's educated or illiterate. Nothing matters. The only thing matters is humanity. The only thing matters is that he or she is a human being. I think all of us should take this very, very strong and powerful message. I have a couple of things to say on this occasion. And I must say that our NSS team, led by Professor Rachita Gulati and Harkirat and Juhi and Kavya and many others, I know there are many others who are doing all this. They have taken our National Social Summit, I think, a notch higher. Last year, I used to believe that, okay, we have probably achieved the peak. I think if we could sustain this peak of NSS, that will be very good. But then I think this year may have actually crossed that peak. Of course, our Harkirat's predecessor, he had done a very good job, wonderful job. I cannot forget his contributions, and Harkirat is sort of filling his shoes admirably well. That is first thing. Second thing I want to say, and I think this Mr. Ravi Singh would also probably appreciate or relate to, that, sir, our NSS team, the National Service Scheme, this is part of a National Service Scheme. What they have brought through this National Social Summit is that they have brought this important message that if you want to serve, if you want to do service, I think you have to put your social view or your social outlook in the right context. You cannot go and start teaching in a slum, or you cannot go and start giving clothes or distributing clothes unless you have the right viewpoint towards humanity, towards humanitarian things, towards society, towards the society that exists around us. And that is the one of the very important hidden but important goals of the National Social Summit, that through speakers like you, we would like to convey this very powerful message to all of us, including our students, that we must have the right viewpoint, right worldview with respect to our society, with respect to humanity, and with respect to human beings. Second thing I want to say, and that will be the last thing that I want to say today, is that our NSS team has shown that there are many things in which the context is social, but it is not visible. For example, when you take up the cause of mental well-being, or when you take up the cause of traffic awareness, creating awareness about road safety, these things inherently carry a social dimension, which often gets ignored when we focus too much on the technical aspects. If you look at the technical aspect of road safety, if you look at the technical aspect of mental well-being, or if you look at the pure medical aspect of blood donation camps, I think we may be saying all the right things, but we may not be able to place it in the right context unless we relate it to our social values, unless we relate it to our society, unless we relate it to our outlook towards society. So this is the very strong underlying theme that NSS has done. And what makes me very happy is that I think this is the 5th year that I am being part of this National Social Summit. Probably I started my journey with NSS itself. And so very, very delighted to be joined this, and hope that the journey continues like this. Faculty advisors come forward like Professor Rachita Gulati and keep on guiding our students, and students come forward like Harkirat and others to make sure that we get an equally impressive lineup of speakers next year. Can we think of one name which could be used as a branding for NSS? Like we use the name Thomso, or we'll use the name Cognizance. Can we think of some name which can be used as a brand? In case you think that will be a good idea, you can pursue that. And with these words, thank you for this opportunity. And thank you, Mr. Ravi Singh, on behalf of IIT Roorkee. It has been a real pleasure to listen to you, to hear about Khalsa Aid, and to hear this very, very, very touching message that you have given to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir, for your warm words for us. And we will surely look upon the suggestion. Thanks a lot. So I would now like to invite Mr. Harkirat for summarizing the National Social Summit 2021.
Yes, thank you very much, Juhi. Just let me share my screen. Yes, so warm welcome to all to this valedictory ceremony of 5th National Social Summit 2021. Regarding the National Social Summit, it was started in 2016, where we began with the idea to focus on the eradication of disparity in different sections of society and focusing on different themes. In 2018, we focused on women empowerment. 2019, we focused on education. In 2020, we shifted our focus towards nature, rebuilding nature's innovation. And in 2021, we come with the theme Envisioning Better Healthcare Evolution, healthcare that the past year we just taught that the importance of healthcare. Our vision for this National Social Summit 2021 was to revolutionize the Indian healthcare system that is facing a significant shortage and moreover an inequitable distribution of the healthcare workforce. Our mission was that the existing public policy and healthcare systems are not well prepared to deal with the pandemic challenges and focus on envisioning a better world by transforming the future. Regarding the dynamics, NSS IIT Roorkee is a dedicated workforce of over 1,000 volunteers striving selflessly for the growth of our nation. Our inspiration behind choosing the theme for this summit, COVID-19 pandemic has brought life to halt, and it has not only affected us in terms of being threatened from infection, but also impact life in various ways. Closing of schools, colleges, loss of employment causes a mental health crisis. Emergence of novel coronavirus, it resurfaced the discussion for threat of antimicrobial resistance. Various advisories by Ministry of Health and other relevant government ministries, the focus on keeping our workplace and surroundings clean, that again taught us the importance of the role of environment in our life. So that issues, they combined together, they aggregated together to give us this rise to this theme, envisioning better healthcare evolution. But how we tend to do that using the summit? We organize different events, different competitions, different keynote sessions, panel discussions, workshops, competitions like case study, policy case, hackathons, encouraging the delegates to come up with innovative solutions. Keynote sessions like we have of Dr. Afrin, Dr. Ganga Khedkar, Dr. Buleria, and today itself from Mr. Ravi Singh, inspiring our delegates to work towards social welfare. We are fortunate to have panel discussions on a couple of very interesting topics in the current scenario, genetic engineering and population control. And coming to the workshops, we had workshops on antimicrobial resistance, sexual health, personal health, and stress management. We were proud to be under the patronage of UNESCO and Niti Aayog, and we're proud to share that World Health Organization collaborated with us as our knowledge and technical partners. Here, I would like to thank different partners of this event: FPI India, ICMR, CDDP, Swasthi Health Catalyst, TIDES, Make Room India, Dayfolio, Date to Compete, etc. And I would like to share that from 100 plus delegates around 3 years back, we have come across 700 plus delegates this time, from 15 plus experts in 2018. We have come across 40 plus experts in doing this summit. From being a very modest and humble beginning as National Social Summit, curing indifferences, we have come a long way, that we are being recognized for our efforts by World Health Organization regional office through their social media handles. Talking about the future ahead, like I'm sure that NSS IIT Roorkee will continue working on healthcare initiatives, spreading awareness of several issues among school and college students. We are in discussion with the WHO Country Office for India to celebrate World Antimicrobial Awareness Week in November 2021 by launching a Pan-Uttarakhand Antimicrobial Resistance Awareness Program. And following by that, we also thinking to focus on inspecting and realizing the impact of National Social Summit along with the participating and collaborating organizations. Finally, I would like to thank all the delegates, all the guest speakers for taking out the time from their busy schedule, all the partners, all the collaborators for their associations, for the collaborations, for the guidance and support in setting up these events. Finally, our IIT administration, Professor Chaturvedi and Professor Parida for their guidance, Professor Barua, Professor Gaurish Shetty, and the whole DOSW office for their support throughout the academic session. And finally, Professor Rachita Gulati, our faculty advisor. She has been more than a faculty advisor for our team, our guide and support during the whole academic session, guiding us through the events, guiding us through the various processes, and getting us in touch with the administration for necessary approvals. This has been a great journey for us during this whole academic session, and majority of the credit surely goes to Professor Rachita Gulati. And thank you once again for being a part of this ceremony. And now I would like to hand it over back to Juhi to move ahead with the proceedings.
Thanks a lot, Harkirat. And I really echo with whatever Harkirat has said right now. Now, I would like to invite Professor Manoranjan Parida, Deputy Director, IIT Roorkee, for his kind words.
Thank you, Juhi. So, good evening, everyone. It was a pleasure to be part of this valedictory session. And before Professor Chaturvedi spoke, in fact, I had extracted the nice quote of Mr. Ravi Singh. People generally are good, especially like when we work in institutions like IIT Roorkee or any higher education institutes. We think our students are generally good, they are well motivated. So with that thought, if you go to a class, if you engage with the students, then you are always very, very creative. And especially the experience which Mr. Ravi Singh said about Khalsa is definitely going to be very useful. Juhi asked a very pertinent question: how do you start? That initial step is the most critical step. So how do you take your first step? So that decides, are you going in the right direction? So thank you, Mr. Singh, for sharing your experience and offering to partner IIT Roorkee. Besides NSS, we have Unnat Bharat Abhiyan that works in the villages. So our NSS team will take forward that discussion and try to connect you, try to say facilitate the participation of IIT Roorkee specifically into that program. So with that, I would also like to thank Professor Rachita Gulati for wonderfully coordinating, motivating the student. So in the pandemic time also, they are, they are full with enthusiasm, ready to compete with Rahul Kumar Singh. It was a pleasure to see Rahul Singh, the predecessor of NSS, the present coordinator, because yes, it is always good to see that things are moving in the right direction. And I'm sure other students will take ahead these programs with full enthusiasm and spirit. So I would like to thank all the student volunteers, organizers of the event. And we had many distinguished participants. So already Harkirat has appreciated their contribution. So I'm not naming those organizations or experts, but we are very much grateful to them for their support, for their participation. Without that, it would have been very difficult to focus on our theme of the summit, Envisioning Better Healthcare Evolution. And then it was also a good opportunity to understand what we can do, because many times the question comes, you are professionals, many of us are engineers pursuing different fields of engineering, science, technology. But then along with that, I'm sure the NSS team is one which is full with passion. Besides their professional work, they are also equally passionate about pursuing the activities related to social development. And these summits are definitely, they are going to be very useful to help us to chart our path for the next year, for our future. And with that, once again, I would like to thank all our guests and all our attendees for this particular summit and for this particular valedictory session. So thank you, and over to you, Jui.
Thanks a lot, sir. Those very kind words for us. I would again thank all the presenters, all the speakers, and all the guests that have been there with the session with us for the session. I'm still wondering the fact that it's time to pull the curtain on 5th edition of the National Social Summit. The journey has been wonderful with a dedicated team, and cheers to the upcoming leaders. Okay, so it is not the closure, but an ignition. Ignition for our leap towards a better society, towards better healthcare, towards informed citizen, and towards a better country. So Jai Hind.
Good night, Mr. Singh.
No, thank you very much. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you so much.